oh, if I were you, I would. Good for you. Good for you. Thanks for letting me know what you would do. Because you know what you would do if you were in my position? The exact same fucking thing. Okay? Because you would have the exact same circumstances. Think about that. And report back to me. Let me tell you, nobody knows really what is best for us. They don't. They think that they do. Some people think they do. For example, like when someone told me to stand up for myself. And when I did that, you know what happened to me? I got strangled. They didn't know what was best for me. Okay? And that's a drastic thing for me to tell you here. Trigger warning? Okay. Sure. But you know what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what is best for someone else. Even as a health coach, I may think, I know the best diets that people should eat. It's whole foods. And I will insist it is whole, unprocessed foods, that most organic and local as you can. That really is the most nutrient rich. But with that being said, there are some very healthy things that fit the bill on that some people are allergic to, for example, or doesn't agree with their body. So I don't know what's best for someone's diet, right? Or lifestyle. I look through these threads and I see that there are a lot of people looking for advice about the situation that they're in. Relationships. What do I do? What should I do? Da 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 da. And I have to ask, have you sat with yourself first before going elsewhere? Where would I be as a relationship coach if I wasn't giving advice? But before I go and advise you or give you, I've tried to commit to not giving advice. It's more like sharing and giving support, but not enabling. That is something that we learn to not do in 12-step programs, such as Al-Anon, for example, is to stop giving advice, is to just listen to people and to maybe ask them some questions that gets their thinking percolating a bit, that gets them maybe more in touch with their own wisdom. Many people outsource their power. They may be codependent, they may have suffered from trauma, such as attachment trauma, or other things. And often these things come jumbled up together because of dysfunctional upbringing, for example, which perhaps you know about. A little bit of background on me. When I was 22, I am 35 now, by the way, I wound up in an abusive relationship with someone who had the exact blueprint. This person was my imago, as I call it. He had the exact blueprint of the things that I needed to heal, and it brought it all to the surface. He wasn't the first person to have done that, but he was the catalyst, we'll say, that brought things really to it was the crux for me. This broke me. This broke me. And I'm lucky that I didn't stay and keep going back more and more and more than I already did in this abusive relationship. I had to find my own inner strength. Even before that time, but especially after I left the abuse, and during, of course, I lost all self-trust. I had no self-trust. I, of course, felt that I couldn't trust myself. Why would I trust myself when I continued to put myself in these terrible situations? I was involved in addictive patterns, which is what happens to many codependent people. Many people who have unhealthy habits have addictions. Codependency is kind of like an addiction. I suffered from love addiction. This is a legit addiction, by the way, where you crave these patterns of love. It's not really what real love is, by the way. And many people with insecure attachment styles will suffer from love addiction, for example. Anyhow, I had lost all sense of self-trust. And I went around for years, even though I was actively trying to heal, I went around to other people asking for advice constantly. And every time I did it, I resented myself. I felt more and more powerless. I felt so stupid. For years, I felt stupid and I was outsourcing my own power. So how do we stop doing this? Anytime that you're about to go and seek outside approval, validation, advice from others, instead of first going to the foundation of all love, of all personal mastery, I'm going to encourage you to sit with yourself first, to self-approve and self-validate first. I'm going to share with you a bunch of tools on how to do this. And it's going to sound basic as fuck, probably. But as you will hear me say over and over again, I'm sure, it is a practice. These tools are not to just be thinking about. Yeah, because the logic brain will be like, yep, got it. And it's not actually working the tools. Some of these tools involve writing on a paper, which sounds so basic. And your mind can think, oh yeah, I got that. And then where are you? You're out getting advice from other people and not actually able to have a good, healthy relationship with yourself. So I encourage you, go to yourself and your higher power first. Your higher power is always there walking this path with you. And that may seem like bullshit to some people who are watching this who are not in touch with their higher power yet, which is where I was once. I rolled my eyes at this. But your higher power is the only one, in my opinion, who has true empathy for exactly what you're going through right now, because it actually has lived through it, because it is yourself in the future. Okay? Hopefully you follow in that. It's trippy. Go and sit with yourself. Commit to that, even if it feels like hell, because it might. And that's how we work through these traumas. And it is a painful process. It can be. But the only person who is going to do that work for us is ourselves. Just actually sit with it. And sometimes it involves sitting in the trauma again till your body and your spirit clears it out. And what we do is when we sit there consciously, this is what we do sometimes in meditation too. And some people, like myself, you may say, I need to meditate. I'm going to start a meditation practice. And I will recommend meditation, but it's actually not the first thing that I would recommend here. I'll share a little more later on it, but you might have started to sit down and meditate like I did when I started to sit down and commit to meditation practice. I had all of these traumas coming up, and I literally sat for every day for months and months crying and shaking out trauma, reliving it. But it did release. That was one method of many. So whilst I have gone into meditation as this first thing, it's not really the first thing I would recommend to stopping outsourcing your power. We're going to dive into a couple of tools. You're going to hear me passionately explore them with you. And I'm going to end this by saying that, as fired up as I can get, hopefully you're still with me here. It's out of love, okay? Because I love this path. I love the relationship that I have developed with myself, and no one else could do that work for me, just like no one else could do that for you. I know the difference of living life in this constant struggle that makes everything so hard, and constantly seeking outside of myself, and living how I'm living today. in a state of balance, peace, and love. Do I make mistakes? Yes. I'm committed to love of myself. I'm committed to this path, to this cultivation of personal mastery. So welcome to the path. I'm so excited for you, wherever you are on the path, that we are crossing paths now. There's a little thing that I'm very, very passionate about, and it is called a journal. Yes, this handy dandy journal, a handy dandy journal and a pencil, or if you like pens, comes in very big handy. That sounded all weird, but you get what I'm saying. There is perhaps no greater friend at times than a journal. No matter what you have to say or utter and you feel you've exhausted yourself, the page will take it. I absolutely love journaling. As an artist, I also have sketchbooks, and I'll put in little fragments of my journey. You don't have to be an artist to do that either. For years, I have sketchbooks going back over a decade, and I remember, oh my gosh, that's where I was. Oh my gosh, that's that time and how I felt. And I look back at my former selves and I thank them for the path that they walked. So journaling is so powerful. Even if it's venting, do it with yourself first. Stop going to other people first. Next tool, the morning pages. This is actually my morning pages notebook. Morning pages are a tool that I have been using for years now. It is one of the main backbones of Julia Cameron's program called The Artist's Way. You're going to hear me talk about The Artist's Way a lot. The Artist's Way is a 12-week spiritual program. It's a spiritual path to higher creativity. It is a program that will unblock your creativity. If you are a blocked creative, even in a small capacity to a large capacity that you are blocked, I highly recommend The Artist's Way, and I will be doing workshops with it in the future. That program, I've done it twice. I'm due for a third time. What I love about The Artist's Way is that it will help heal codependency. You can also do it in a creative cluster with a bunch of other people, but I recommend just starting it on your own. That is the foundation of all love, of all relationships, is the one that we have with ourselves. And The Artist's Way really helped me get to that, helped me get in touch with that, more than many other things that I've tried. Julia gives so many different tools in there, but in the morning pages is you wake up in the morning and you get your notebook and you write down 3 pages of stream of consciousness, whatever comes out of your brain, no filter. Nobody is to see these pages either. It is only for you. And you set it aside. It's not to be reread until technically week, I think, 7 of the program, but that's not important for the tool. Just get up, do the pages. They're in the morning, they're not in the afternoon. This is so good because you get out all the stuff that's been blocking you, all this crap. Just get it out on the page instead of bringing it further into your day. It is so cleansing. It helps you bypass the negative critic. And it helps you by about page 3 is often when our higher power starts to kind of whisper things into the pages as we're writing. These things are magic. So get yourself just some paper or notebook. I like to use pencil because it glides for me across the paper, but use whatever, and you write them out 3 pages. It takes me about 15 minutes every morning to do. And those are some of the most valuable 15 minutes that I have in my day. Another tool, go for a walk. Seriously, get your ass off of the chair or out of the house or wherever it is. Go for a walk. Go for a long walk. If you can't walk and you're doing a wheelchair, go for a walk with your wheelchair. And I may sound very, what is the word? Like a tough ass, but you know what? My grandmother at 102 years old, was wheeling herself in her wheelchair. She complained every day, but she still did it. When we have the gusto and the determination, we will find a method that works for us. So take yourself into one of these things like walking, movement of some kind. Okay, are you bedridden? Move your fingers around. Get the energy flowing. Next tool, get out into nature. Oh my gosh. This is the divine mother here, the mother of all here on this planet, lest we forget. It is incredible how much I notice that people are completely separated. We're completely separated from nature. And I know you may live in a city or something like that. Find whatever sliver of nature you can, touch it, pet it, if it's not poisonous leaf, let's say. Get into nature as often as possible and as much as you can. And ground yourself, take your shoes off and do some earthing. This is legit. You're getting negative, we're getting the ions that we need to recharge through the earth. So get into contact with the earth. Do it enough and you'll become an uber hippie, or whatever people want to call me, who talks to trees. You know what? I walk around, I talk to myself, I talk to my tree friends when things are bothering me, and you know what? I never get that icky feeling like I outsource my power, because my power comes from nature. That is where the elements, that's the elements. That's where energy comes from. But we've forgotten this basic fact. The elements recharge us. Water, air, fire, it's cleansing. The earth, okay? It's basic, right? These tools that I'm sharing. But you know what? I'm gonna give you the gusto to do them. So take that gusto, receive the gusto, and do some practices before you go online and research. Instead of doing that, sit with yourself. Take yourself for a walk. Do your morning pages or journal. Write yourself a letter. That's another tool here. Write yourself a letter. For years, I would go and I bought little nice stationery sometimes too. You can jazz it up really, but you know what? Don't underestimate a blank page. Whatever blank page that you have can do the trick. Have you heard of a blank page? Yes, blank pages. They will listen to you, cry, scream. You can even take your anger out on them, or you can write yourself a very nice, beautiful letter that gives yourself words of affirmation, which is one of the love languages, by the way, and give yourself encouragement. For example, hey, Juniper, I know this time is really hard. I know that you feel like you're stupid and that you're a failure and that nobody really cares what you are saying to them, and that everybody said this before, and why does it matter, and why did you sign up to be a light worker, and all of these things that you're going around with the critic or the ego in your head. But I want you to know that I'm here with you. You're never alone, and that I want you to enjoy this journey. Even the parts that are kind of sucky, because that's part of it. And I'm here with you, and you can do this. You are doing this with each little step. You're getting there. You are there. You're there right now because you're on the path. I'm so proud of you that you're making this video and you're sharing your voice and you're sharing your medicine for whoever it is that's going to watch this. Even if they know about journaling, now they heard it again and they say, you know what? I think she's right. I might go to CVS or whatever store it is and grab a journal. So you know what? Keep doing it. I'm super proud and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. I love you. See you next time, or whatever. These are words of affirmation that I just said to myself, but I would write them down. When we write, it's different than just thinking it, by the way. Write them out. I'm going to give you one more tool, which is also going to sound so basic, but when we actually do it, a lot of great things can happen. Again, it involves a piece of paper. Get yourself a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, writing utensil. This tool is great when you have either a decision between two different things, let's say, or you can do it with multiple things, but we're going to say two, for example. Like, do I want to move to Sedona or do I want to move to Boulder? Or another instance is, should I continue to date this person, or do I break up with this person or stay with them? Whatever it is, take your piece of paper and draw a line down the center. On one side, maybe we would put Boulder, the other side, Sedona. Or in this instance of a relationship, positive things, negative things about the relationship. And you must be honest with yourself. Be honest about the good. Be honest about the ugly. Whatever these things are, write them out. I actually have a list that I made when I was trying to leave that abusive person. I still have it till this day. And when I look back on it, I'm like, oh gosh. Oh gosh. I remember also, after I wrote this list out, my logical brain said, ugh. Even though I didn't know about attachment then and I wasn't Buddhist yet, it could logically see the attachment in a sense. For example, the positives, there were all these negative things that were legit unhealthy things that I should have, could have, would have, you know, don't judge yourself. But unhealthy things that I was subjecting myself to, that I was attached to. We re-victimize ourselves. So I don't mean this as victim blaming, and this is a topic for another day, but I do want to put a pin in there and stress that if you are in an abusive relationship, to please not judge or shame yourself. But there is something called re-victimization, and we'll visit it at another time, okay? But there were unhealthy, all of these unhealthy things on this side, and I could see them logically. And then the positives, and one of them was, we have great sex. I didn't make up this exercise. A friend actually who brought me in those days to the Victim Advocacy Center on campus told me to do this. And then I did it, and she said, well, let me see your list. I handed it to her, and she said, you see all those things? You can find that and better in someone else. And you know what? She was right. She was eternally right. And the funny thing is about that we have great sex thing is that the sex that I've had as I've gotten more and more and more healed is off the charts, is in no way of a comparison. In fact, that sex was actually in no way great sex. So that exercise with drawing the line down the center and weighing out the pros and cons, it's very powerful. But again, like these other exercises with writing, you can't just think them in your head. You must actually write it down because it does something in the brain, okay? We want to listen to ourselves, okay? We need to hear ourselves, especially when it's love and relationships. We need to hear ourselves. What are we saying? I don't know about this person. I like this thing. I really am into them. But you know what? I'm not feeling that good about A, B, and C, whatever it is. Writing these things out, actually listening to yourself instead of having someone else do that work for you is powerful. So I'd love to know, what exercises are you going to try? Tell me in the comments below. Once you have done one or more of these tools and you've truly connected with yourself as best as you could, then fine, go to someone else. Take it to hopefully the right door, not the wrong door. Someone who you really believe loves you and cares, and you may feel that you don't have anyone who does. This is becoming a long video, but that is a good subject that I can talk about. But this is you want to take it to the right door, someone who's genuine and cares. And what happens also is once you've gone through your own work with it, you may not have to take it to someone else, or you may want another perspective outside of yours, but it means that you've considered all the perspectives that you have first, instead of going elsewhere and thinking that someone else knows. Because let me tell you, nobody knows really what is best for us. They don't. When I think about my journey, my evolution of going from this shell of a girl to this powerful woman, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's little tests and lessons that I receive all the time. And some of those lessons or tests involve boundaries, which is a big part of my work, and a work that I'm going to be sharing with you a lot on this channel. But when I think of all of how far that I have come and where I once was, it's like, wow, this is achievable. But we need to start with ourselves. We need to commit to ourselves. So sit with yourself, listen to yourself, be there for yourself. I cannot emphasize this more. So I want you to place your hand on your heart. You can do it with me and repeat with me, I love myself. It may sound weird. You may have a critic in your head or whatever. You may have the shame that's you've been dragging along. But let's suspend that for a minute. I love myself. I am happy to be on this journey, no matter how difficult the terrain. I love myself. My higher power is here with me. I trust myself because I am on this journey and I'm committed. Even if I fall off the wagon, I'm going to get back on the horse. I am committed, and I have the intention to continue to blossom this love for me and to expand my capacity for love, for compassion, for joy. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Like this video, comment below, and subscribe.